So I took a walk with Jules last night into Jackson Park, and of course I had the temptation to enhance photos, crop photos, but I've decided not to do that. Not live for Instagram reality, but actually true reality here. I really love seeing reflections of things and capturing reflections. Sometimes well, especially colors, or after rain, you know, when the pavement reflects everything. I love that copy or that alternate image that's similar, and I just find it so beautiful. I captured quite a few on my trip to Quebec, and I'll be making a video about those. And these daisies, actually, the wind was blowing and they were blowing in the wind, but there were so many that were irregularly shaped, and I love daisies and how irregular they can be, and I just find them so beautiful. And I feel the same way about people, that, you know, we're all so different, and really as soon as you scratch beneath the surface you realize that, like, I think there's probably very few intelligent, sensitive people that aren't somewhat wacky. So, and I have such an urge to speak with you, or, you know, spend time, you know, talking, and so sometimes when I feel like that, I write, and other times I make a video.
Are you wondering what's wrong? Because nothing seems to be wrong. There's nothing wrong, is there? Everything is actually great. It's great. Other than doubting it, you know, and feeling it can't possibly be the way it looks. Doubt, fear, mistrust, suspicion, because it's unfamiliar, and our brain wants to steer us away from unfamiliar because it's risky, I guess. Things are changing. Something's happening for me, and I should tell you about that time, the woman who had the mild stroke. Maybe that's what's happened to me. I wondered that because of that night in June where things got intense, and then I woke up the next day feeling totally different, completely different, and nothing's been the same since. And it's certainly not like the dramatic shifts, like when I first started trying to get to the bottom of my own misery and find a sense of peace. When I had a breakthrough back then, it was euphoric and it was huge, and that was a really great feeling, and it's not like that anymore. Things are the dog things are more slow and subtle, and sometimes it's so slow and it's so subtle that I almost have to wonder if anything's really happening. But that shift that I had in June when I woke up, I did see things differently, and I guess that's when I started to think about good and bad self-focus and good and bad other focus. Because when something happens and then I react feeling like I'm under attack, and not, then I'm too self-focused, but not in a positive way. Instead of other focusing in a good way and saying, like, wow, what's this person going through right now? And basically when I woke up in the morning, I had that view, that other view. And then I was like, huh. and I started taking this little flashlight, like it's just like things were illuminated just a little bit more. It was so subtle and slight, but I was like, I wonder what else I can view again with this little flashlight. And I started looking at other situations that had happened in my life and other people around me, and I was seeing things differently. And it's hard sometimes because, I mean, my person I've been seeing for therapeutic value says I've undergone a huge transformation in the last 6 months, but I wouldn't have, I mean, that was helpful because I wouldn't have perceived that. And I said to him, you know, on our last session that I'm still very much, like, I'm not trying to say, hey, everything's great, you know, no, but I'm still very much in the trenches day after day, muddling through things. But what I have noticed is that in 6 months of concerted effort to reprogram my negative beliefs around connection with others, it's making a difference. And that one overnight shift that happened, I don't know why, it just did. There was nothing I did to bring that on. It was just triggered by a sort of incident with a close friend of mine. And that would be the my lead player, actually. But so yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. Got to get back, but things are different, and about 30% of the time, 40%, it's a little more positive.
Look at the puppy. Oh, look at the puppy.
This is one of my favorite spots to come all year round when I walk the dog. Is, you know, that rock, it calls to me. Anyway, now my 11 o'clock appointment is calling to me. Better hit the RODE, as Wendy Wen used to say, and check in later. I think one thing that's different, definitely, is not feeling so much like there's a scarcity of love in my life. I mean, I know that there isn't, and I've known that, and how fortunate I've been to have such great friends, and, you know, 2 great kids, and a great dog. But I wasn't necessarily feeling that. Like, I still had, you know, some despair. But processing the loss of 2 really close friends, and then, you know, having dreams about them where we, you know, would reconnect. Something in that shift was realizing that I'm still able to feel connected to the gifts and the love that they brought into my life, you know. And with, I mean, there's people all over the internet telling their experiences of near death, and just that feeling of unconditional love and connection. And then I've actually known people personally who have had a near-death experience, and it's the same thing. It's at the very worst, just a peaceful feeling. But on the other end of the spectrum was, you know, that it's an amazingly connected feeling. And there was a dream I had once where I feel like I was out of body because I was in white light, and it felt warm, and it felt like it had every answer. And after 2 hours of sleep, I woke up and I was completely energized for the entirety of the day. And then, come on, went through that whole day. And I think I only slept 4 hours the next night, and so I had 2 full days of intense energy from the stream, which tells me, you know, obviously I connected to something beyond my physical something, but you know, it's all around. It's all around us all the time. We just don't see it. And I've known that on an intellectual level for at least a couple of decades, and believed in it for probably a decade more. But I didn't feel it. And so that's what I've been really working on, is connecting to that feeling. And so that's what I've been doing in the reprogramming, while just before sleep and just upon waking, when, you know, my brain should be in, you know, theta wave state, is reminding myself of those things, that the love is all around us and flowing through us at all times, and that we are a part of it, and that I'm a part of it, and it's a part of me, and it's working, because I am feeling more content and at peace, part of the time anyway. And still having my fearful neurotic experience at times as well, but it's just kind of neat that sometimes it's decreasing, at least in intensity and duration. So it's small steps, but important. And you know, and I'm still doing stupid things like, you know, eating food that makes me feel crappy, you know, drinking too much alcohol at times. So, you know, I'm still an idiot, for sure. Oh my God. That's just the whole amazing thing, is how everything and all possibilities can exist simultaneously. So, you know, me being still stupid and still having all, and I'm not beating myself up here. Like, I think it's fine to have stupid moments. I know I'm far beyond the point of beating myself up for being, quote, imperfect, unquote, because I just don't have the energy for that. And maybe I can thank Catholic school for that, because all that guilt for all those years, you dirty, filthy creature, you. Oh, God hates you unless you confess every Sunday. You know, God won't let you into heaven unless you get baptized and spend the rest of your life repenting. Well, maybe they wore me out. So, I think it was around 40. I was just like, alright, it's fine. I'm done. Just can't do it anymore. I think I've paid my dues. And I just don't have the energy to let, like, it takes a lot of energy to feel shitty. It sucks a lot of energy. It's much easier, actually. I mean, it's so hard to let go of that. And it's one of those things that, you know, my wise friend Luther once said, you know, you'll do it until you don't do it. But I think all we can do is kind of bury that intention right in our, somewhere in our belly, in our gut, and say, you know what, I really want to be done with this as soon as possible. So take me through whatever experiences I need to have. So it's just getting sick of it entirely. And then there's a point where it's just done. At least for me. Nope, the city and its lovely sounds are invading this nice spot. But we'll survive.